Welcome back. Here is part 2 of our lesson. So let's not forget our learning target. I can identify similarities and differences between Peter Pan and chapter 1 of Peter Pan in Kensington Garden. So again, finding what's the same and what's different between these two texts. Just to give some background knowledge in Peter Pan in Kensington Garden. Kensington Garden is an actual place in England. It's a large park with lots of flowers. It looks like this, beautiful. The story was written in the 1900s, shortly after our text of Peter Pan. So again, this is a literary classic, Peter Pan, and it's told many times, year after year, in different ways. So again, as you're listening, you're going to hear of things that are the same and things that are different. Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens, Chapter 1. The Grand Tour of the Gardens. To follow Peter Pan's adventure, it is important that you are familiar with Kensington Gardens. Kensington Gardens are in London. No child has ever seen all the gardens because they are so big that there is not enough time to see them all. On one side of the gardens is a street with a never-ending line of buses that you may cross to get into the gardens. There are so many gates into the gardens, there's only one that you use to go in. Before you go in, you speak to the lady with the balloons sitting outside. She cannot go in because if she were to let go of the fence, the balloons would lift her up and she would fly away. She had quite a red face from the strain of holding onto the balloons all day. Inside, the gardens are tremendously big, with millions and hundreds of trees. There is a path called the boardwalk, which is much bigger than the other paths in the garden. On the boardwalk is a tree where the boy called Cecil lost his penny and found a 2 pence when looking for it. This tree is now called Cecil Hewlett's tree. People have been digging here ever since. On the way to the Round Pond is a statue called Big Penny and Baby's Palace. A baby once lived in the palace all alone, with lots of dolls. When people rang the bell, she got out of bed, lit a candle, and opened the door in her nightdress. On the right of the boardwalk is the baby walk, which is full of baby proms. From here, you can walk through a passage called Buntington's Thumb to Picnic Street. On Picnic Street, chestnut blossoms fall onto your mug as you are drinking. The Round Pond is in the very middle of the garden. The best boat to stay on the Round Pond is a stick boat. As you walk around pulling it by the string, you see little men running about the deck, and sails rise magically to catch the breeze. Lots of paths lead to the pond. Some of them are ordinary paths, but others are paths that have made themselves. They're wide at one spot and very narrow at the other. These paths make themselves at night after the gates are closed, like all the most wonderful things that happen in the gardens. The paths that make themselves because it is their only chance of getting to the Round Pond. The Serpentine begins near here. It is a lovely lake, and there is a drowned forest at the bottom of it. If you peer over the edge, you can see the trees all growing upside down. And they say that at night, there are also drowned stars in it. Only a small part of the Serpentine is in the gardens before it passes under a bridge too far away where the Bird's Island is. No human, except Peter Pan, and he's only half human, can land on the island. But you can make a paper boat and slip it into water, and it reaches the Bird's Island after dark. Wow, that's a really interesting and different Kensington Gardens. So let's just talk about what we just read. We are introduced to some of the different places in Kensington Gardens and the people who have done noteworthy things in those places. So there's different sections within this big garden that is very special, and we'll learn more about it as we continue to read. So this is the first chapter, and what it's doing is introducing the setting of the story. Okay, let's zoom in to our learning targets again. I can identify similarities, what's the same, and differences, different, between Peter Pan and chapter 1 of Peter Pan and Kensington Gardens. So I'm going to give an example of comparing the stories. So taking both texts to figure out what is the same and different. I have to think about Peter Pan and then what I just read in Kensington Garden. Okay, what's the same about the two? Are they the same characters? Is there the same setting, motivation, character actions? Oh, that's right. Both stories have a character called Cesso. But in Peter Pan, Cesso is a pirate, and in this text, in Kensington Garden, Cesso is a boy who lost a penny and found 2 pence. So that's something that's the same, but also different between the two texts. This is what you are going to do in order to meet your learning target for today. Right after this video, you are going to write something that is similar and different between Peter Pan and chapter 1 of Peter Pan and Kensington Gardens. When comparing stories, consider the setting. Think about the setting. Is it the same? Is it different? Think about the characters. Are they the same? Or are they different? Motivation. Is there a motivation? Is it the same? Is it different? So that's what you're going to be doing today, is you're going to be writing down what is the same and different between these two texts. As always, don't forget to hit the submit button so that way I can read what you have wrote. That's all for today. Good luck, and I'll talk to you next time.